This episode of the ResortLoop.com podcast is brought to you by Joffrey's Coffee and Tea Company. Joffrey's is proud to be the official specialty coffee of Disney. Enjoy drinks and pastries at Joffrey's kiosks throughout the parks and check out the Disney Specialty Coffee Collection only at Joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're approaching the Transportation and Ticket Center, which includes Magic Kingdom car and bus parking. If you're traveling to Epcot, please exit here and follow the overhead directional sign.
Hey everybody, welcome to ResortLoop.com. I'm your host, Bob Collar. Tim Scott is not with us today. He is working behind the scenes to bring us an extraordinary February, we're hoping. We have a lot of great things planned for everybody, us, and we're trying to work a little magic with our good pals and sponsors of the show, Joffrey's Coffee. So our anniversary show, which will be at the end of this week, will have some really cool stuff. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, while Tim's working diligently behind the scenes to make all that magic happen for us, I thought I'd take the opportunity because Disney announced their newest princess, Elena of Avalar. She is the first Latina princess that Disney will be unveiling on the TV show Sofia the First. So kind of excited. Got to thinking, the Disney princesses have come quite a long way since Snow White in 1937, almost 80 years ago. And I thought, who better to talk about princesses than me?
That would be true.
And then I thought, no, I just, with Tim, did the Dude show, and my wife said, yeah, you're not going to do that alone. So I would like to welcome my lovely wife, Patty, to the show. Welcome to the show, dear.
Thank you. I have a question, though.
Uh-huh.
Why was Tim in charge of the Dude show, and you're in charge of the Princess show? Is there a reason for that?
And we also have my love. Don't look at me like that. My lovely daughter, Emily, is going to join us. A 16-year-old, almost 17-year-old's perspective on. We're going to kind of talk about how Disney princesses have evolved over the years. Mm-hmm. So, Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you. All
right, so let's get started. We've got to start, obviously, with the princess that started it all, Snow White, of course, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, from 1937. Now, Snow White is supposed to be somewhere around the age of 14, which, back in those days, girls at 14 were,
they're on their way to be adults. I mean, they were
absolutely
being groomed for marriage and
so
raising
it seems a little
children.
strange now when we
No,
when
it
we
does,
hear about it. But and of course, if we think about Snow White was kind of a victim throughout the entire story. She wasn't really a strong character, a lovely, wonderful character, but very delicate.
Mm-hmm.
So she needed, of course, Prince Charming to come and rescue her, which, of course, he did. And the Seven Dwarfs. The Seven Dwarfs took care of the evil queen.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Prince Charming woke her from her slumber. You're just nodding your head. Okay.
I'm just waiting for you to unleash.
You're ready. You're ready to unleash how you feel about these things is what you're ready to do. So okay, well,
they started as, in the early days, the princesses, like you said, were being saved.
Right.
They were a victim that needed saved. But they have, I think Disney, to move things along into the 21st century, I think that they started to develop princesses that started doing the saving.
Well, and we got to remember, this is 1937. So, women were different in 1937. Girls were different in 1937. Men were different in 1937.
Mm-hmm. I just think that it wasn't necessarily that women were different. It was the view that men had toward women, because men were in a more powerful position than women were. And so men kind of, controlled society at that time. So it was the view that men had on women, that they should be,
maybe
the ones,
led the storyline that way.
Yeah, they should be the ones who are being saved, and the men should be the saviors.
Well, maybe. But again, the culture of the time was, chivalry was not dead. It's on life support now in the 21st century. Not quite dead, but back then, chivalry was a big thing. I mean, men wore suits to go everywhere. They wore a suit to go everywhere. Women never wore pants, unless they worked on a farm and they were wearing overalls to work. But even then, a lot of them were wearing skirts and dresses on the farm. So, it was it was a different time. So that's why I think at the time, Snow White, fit the time. So let's move forward to 1950 and Cinderella. Cinderella was actually one of the oldest princesses that Disney has. Cinderella was supposed to be maybe in her early 20s.
I'm surprised that old.
Right. She was maybe 19, is what the historians are saying. So Cinderella, of course, she endured all of the evil stepsisters and evil mother-in-law. We don't know about the mother-in-law.
Right.
The princess. And by the way, we're never given the name of Prince Charming. It's just Prince Charming. We have no idea what his real name is or where he's from. He's just a prince.
Huh.
So Cinderella, again, we don't even know that guy's name. He's just the prince. They never reference it, that he's the prince. So I don't believe. I could be wrong. We'll have to watch that movie again. But I couldn't find any reference to what his name is. So 1950, Cinderella, she's under the thumb of her evil stepmother. And she wants, in essence, she wants to live the life of a princess.
But, you see with Cinderella, if you look at the story, Cinderella, compared to Snow White, a little bit stronger of a personality, I think.
True, yes.
A little bit more independent, a little bit more free-thinking, even though the stepmother told her she couldn't go to the ball, she went anyway.
A little rebellious.
I think that that was just a little step in a different direction, as they evolved. I mean, we're talking over decades, so there's just a little bit, as we go along, just a little bit different.
And as society had changed at that time, you got to remember a lot of women were working. Now women were in the workforce back in the late 40s, early 50s. Women were seen as stronger, and I think Disney reflected that in Cinderella. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. So jumping ahead to 1959, 9 years later, we have Sleeping Beauty. We're back to the slumbering princesses.
Right.
Sleeping Beauty, of course, 16 years old. When she pricks her finger on her 16th birthday, she falls into slumber. She's not really a strong character as far as as a woman goes. She's more along the lines, I think, of Snow White. I think Disney went back to the Snow White kind of model. Again, these are all fairy tales, so they stuck with the fairy tale line for the most part. So, what do you think of Sleeping Beauty, Emily?
I think that she was very similar to Snow White in the fact that she was not a very strong female character. And I understand that these fairy tales are, they were written, made up in times that were even, worse for women than the 1900s. And I also, this is kind of, it's still on topic, but it's not necessarily for women as for children, as a whole, all children. I understand that, Disney had to make the stories a little more child-friendly because these fairy tales were very violent. They were not, as Disney portrayed them.
Right.
But I also feel like Disney could have maybe, kept a little bit of that, adult content, because I don't think that people give children enough credit.
Well, true, but you got to remember the times too. Yeah, I mean, we're the 1950s were not. Walt Disney wasn't looking to scare kids. He wanted everybody in the family to be able to go to see these, from the young to the old. So even if you look at like Robin Hood, as rough as that time would have been for Robin Hood and some of the actual movies of the time, it nowhere near as dark when you look at the Disney version of Robin Hood. None of the Disney versions are going to give you the dark side until, of course, you get to Tim Burton, and then we're not even going to talk about it. So, but I just, with Sleeping Beauty, she's waiting for her prince to save her as well. Now, she doesn't really know that.
No.
The fairies know that. They're the ones who have to get Philip. We do know. We finally have a prince's name.
We name the prince.
Philip, who actually was Sleeping Beauty, Aurora's friend. They were childhood friends.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole true love's kiss comes in, where he has to awaken her as well. I don't know. I still think that kept with the times and kept with Disney's theme of being a family-friendly film.
Mm-hmm. I thought what was interesting, especially with Emily, I think that my generation is probably the last to really embrace the vintage princesses, if you will, of Disney. Because one thing I noticed, even before we started talking about this, when Emily was a little girl, if you can remember, I tried to get her to be interested in Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella, and those. And who did she latch on to? Mulan.
Belle.
So I think Emily's generation, while those other, older princesses I love them. They will always be in my heart. I think that the next generation then was, okay, we're in a new time. This is different. And these girls are different. These young girls, down to their DNA are different.
Right.
And so they latched on to different,
the stronger characters.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, and that's, again, that's a reflection of our society today. So let's jump ahead to getting closer to Emily's generation. We don't see another princess for 30 years. We don't see another princess until Ariel shows up in the Little
Really?
Mermaid.
I'm shocked.
Yes. Now these are the official Disney princesses.
Right. Now there were other female.
These are the ones that are quote unquote official, that have been coronations at the parks and all of that stuff. So now there have been other princess movies that Disney has put out. That one with Anne Hathaway, it escapes me the name of that one, but she becomes a princess almost along the same lines as Sophia the First, where she doesn't know that she's a princess, but she ends up becoming.
You mean Princess Diaries?
Princess Diaries, that's the one. Yeah. So we jump ahead to 1989 and The Little Mermaid, where of course Ariel, she wants to live a different life.
Another strong one.
Now we're starting to get into more of what society has changed, and the views have changed, where women can think for themselves. At least, I mean, obviously women have always been that way, but now society is recognizing that, and it's more accepting. So you've got Ariel, and of course Eric is the prince. Mm-hmm. But again, Eric is still saving the day. The prince is still saving the day.
But see, I think that what a lot of people don't realize, they think of the Little Mermaid and they think of the love between Ariel and Eric, and I mean that is part of the story, but the main theme of the story is Ariel doing everything she can to be human.
Right, to be different.
So,
right.
Yes, Eric does save the day, but it's through a series of events that Ariel has set up for herself to reach her end goal. So
That's true.
what a lot of people don't realize is The Little Mermaid, it is a love story, but it's mostly about this woman changing herself, not for... She doesn't become human for Eric. She becomes human for herself.
Because she wanted to be human.
Dream, right.
She wanted to be human before Eric was ever in the picture.
Right.
So he was just sort of like a or a bonus, you know.
Yeah, he was, yeah. Exactly.
Not a consolation prize, I almost said that.
Right. So, I mean, I guess the although they're trying to launch these princesses into the 21st century, they're still the hero, and the hero is the man. In essence, at the end, it's Eric who slays Ursula, and there's peace now in the kingdom and all of that. So now let's jump ahead to 1991. This is where I think you start to see the truly strongest anyway at this point.
But you see a pattern.
Princess.
Prior to that, you see a pattern
Absolutely.
developing. You see
Absolutely.
a change in the writing.
And we have Beauty and the Beast with Belle, and we don't know the name of the prince there either. He's just known as the Beast. So there you go.
But I think it's the other way around in this one, where the prince doesn't have a name, not because, like in Snow White and Cinderella, where he doesn't have a name because he's supposed to be every man. I think that the reason that in Beauty and the Beast, the prince doesn't have a name is because Belle is the main character.
Oh, absolutely.
She is the main female.
Absolutely.
So it's the same, but it's different.
Right. Belle, of course, very strong character. She has Gaston wooing her as best Gaston can. Denies his advances. She could be the toast of the town, being Gaston's wife. She says,
part of it.
No, thank you. I am a free-thinking woman. She reads, for goodness sakes. How dare she? So there you go. So now she's stronger. She is willing to sacrifice herself for her father. So you're right, Emily. The storyline is not necessarily the Beast in so much as it is the strength of Belle.
And her love for her father.
And
that's what I took out of that movie, how much she loved her father.
Right. And the fact that it's the whole kind of opposites attract kind of thing sometimes. Is there's this beautiful girl and this hideous beast, and they end up together, and of course he has to turn into a gorgeous golden locked. I didn't say gorgeous. Who said? Never mind. All right, moving on. We're going to move to 1992. And Aladdin. So we're going to move in with Jasmine and of course Aladdin. Another strong character. Jasmine wants to defy her father. She's 18 years old. She's had enough. She doesn't want to live in a palace anymore. She wants to go out and see the world. Her dad says, no, you got to get married.
In Aladdin, you also have a class war going on, too. You have,
Absolutely.
Societal issues.
The
haves and the have-nots. And
I think that's good, though, because it's not just... It has become not just a love story, but a, there are different elements to
it.
Right.
Now you have, much like Beauty and the Beast, where you have, the opposites attracting. You have two different ends of the social spectrum coming together. We're really getting deep on these movies. I'm not sure they went.
Yeah, I don't think they went that deep. I don't think there was that much thought.
Again, up to this point so far now, we're still using movies based upon fairy tales, in essence. Aladdin is yet another fairy tale. So Jasmine, I think a very strong character. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Emily loved Jasmine. You were Jasmine for Halloween one year.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've got Jasmine who is wanting to defy her father, loves her father, but doesn't want to get married to just anybody because she's told she has to by 18. and really, you know, doesn't like Aladdin once she meets him as the prince. But how does Aladdin end? Do you guys remember how Aladdin ends with Jafar?
Doesn't he turn into a snake?
He becomes the big snake. Yeah.
But doesn't... I forget... No, Jasmine saves her father while Genie...
And Aladdin take care of... yeah, that's right. Aladdin tricks Jafar into becoming a genie. And, of course, a genie has to be in a lamp and has to have a master. So he gets sucked into the lamp. So, again, so far, I'm thinking that so far, up to, except for the exception of Belle, the prince or the male character has quote unquote saved the day. In essence, now there are varying degrees to that, starting with Little Mermaid and up. But Belle is the only one so far who's kind of saved the day, because Belle, throughout everything, she gave up everything. I think,
and she's the one.
Go ahead.
And she's the one who takes out the beast, or no, Gaston.
Gaston. He falls to his...
but doesn't she... She does something to where... I mean, I think it's like there's a fight between him and the beast, but doesn't she do something?
I think she pushes him off the balcony.
No,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, oh my goodness gracious. Jeez. We haven't gotten to that yet. That's coming, though. We got a princess that's willing to do that. So then we jump to 1995 and Pocahontas. Pocahontas being one of the official, and Pocahontas being a real person, the first real person in the Disney princesses. Mm-hmm. Pocahontas is a pretty strong character. I don't know how, as she was very young, the real Pocahontas was very, very young. Yeah. She was around 12 years old with John Smith. Now in the movie, of course, they took some dramatic license and made her a little bit older looking, and she was a very strong character, I thought.
Oh yeah, she's the one who saves her
John Smith. She was willing to sacrifice herself for John Smith. Mm-hmm. So now you have again another princess that's willing to sacrifice herself to save the man she loves.
But it's not only to save the man she loves, she sacrifices herself to save the rivalry between her people and his people.
Right, to stop that war.
Yeah.
So now our princesses are getting stronger and stronger. And that brings us to 1998. And I think the strongest, up to this point, the strongest of the princesses. And that is Mulan.
Oh, definitely.
A true story, so we're told, or at least a Chinese myth, that this... I believe that is a true story.
I think it's a true story.
It is a true story, yeah. Where she sacrifices everything, takes the greatest risk of all to step in for her father when the Chinese go to war against the Huns. So
they got down to business.
I thought I got rid of Tim. Oh, you too. And this brings us to he's not a prince, but the general's son and my wife's favorite character, Li Shang. When he rips off his shirt. Anyway, now this is probably the first princess that truly, now I gotta say it, truly does get down to business.
Yeah,
she takes care of the Huns, from the beginning to the end of the movie for the most part.
Little girls loved her and still do love her,
and should.
I mean, she was just like. That movie exploded, I thought.
Yeah.
I think it's a great, I think it's great that, from Mulan, actually probably more from Pocahontas on, that the princesses have become more self-reliant and the stars of their own movies, because I remember being a little girl and when I would play outside with like my brother and his friend, I would have to pretend to be a male character because there weren't any strong female characters. So I think it's really important that, you know, in these princess movies and even out of the princess movies and all the other Disney movies and, you know, DreamWorks movies, whatever, that there are a lot more strong female characters, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, Mulan, she takes care of the Huns the entire movie. She actually takes over when Shang decides that she's not worthy because she's a woman, and she still doesn't stop until she can stop the Huns from taking over the palace. So great female character. That being the very first one that really she takes the entire film and owns it. She really does.
I agree.
We skip over 10 years, almost 10 years, before the next Disney princess, and that's going to be Princess, or soon-to-be Princess Tiana, and Prince Naveen.
Now, I'm very interested in Princess Tiana because I noticed, okay, we have Mulan. She comes forward as a lead female character, strong, physically strong, you know, taking on a typical man's role in the army and, you know, helping to defeat the Huns. But with Tiana, here you see a business sense.
Right.
Here you see a woman in business now and wanting to own her own restaurant and putting, you know, all the things that need to go together for that, and the financial commitment, and, you know, so I thought that was really a good move on Disney's part to show the business end of it.
Right.
And throughout the entire story, she's doing whatever she can to achieve her dream.
Right.
She's not wooed by Naveen. You know, all she wants to do is, you know, after she's turned into a frog, is to, you know, become human again and get her restaurant. She doesn't allow him to cloud her, you know.
And you got to remember
vision.
the time that this film is set is the early 1900s, which, and women did do this. I mean, you know, you have to look back in history, but women were business people back then. They overcame every struggle that you could possibly overcome to do that. We saw a little bit of that in the movie, where the businessmen were going to give her the loan to do it. She had enough money to buy the building, and then they pulled the carpet right out from under her anyway.
And especially for her to be an African-American woman living at that time. And same goes for Mulan and Pocahontas. You know, before Pocahontas, every princess was white. Every princess was of European descent and was white. And then Pocahontas comes along.
Jasmine.
Jasmine, yeah.
So right.
Yeah. But I think that's good too. Yeah. It's, you know, good representation.
So the Princess and the Frog, of course, Tiana wants to have her restaurant. She wants to live her dream, the dream her father had of opening a restaurant. Again, strong family connection there. And of course, through Naveen being an idiot, our first prince idiot. I mean, really.
And he is, for the most part, the damsel in the entire movie.
He is. He is, he's the one that is constantly needing saving. Every now and then he lucks out and does something good. But for the most part, Tiana is the strong female character in this, and he is a very self-centered, weak male cohort, if you will. But, you know, again, it's a Disney movie, and everything good happens at the end. So, very much, really got to love Tiana and the Princess and the Frog, because I think it gave a lot of young ladies the desire to look back in history and see how many great women came through history, even before the early 1900s. So jumping now ahead to 2010. And the lovely Rapunzel, Let Down Your Hair.
Oh, Rapunzel.
From Tangled.
And Rapunzel's another example of, like Tiana, was it Flynn? Yeah.
Finn Rider.
He's, for the most part, the one who she's saving throughout the entire movie.
Well, I will say this. Finn is no... it's Finn or Flynn?
It's Flynn.
Flynn. Flynn Rider is no Naveen. Thank goodness. For us dudes.
Yes, no. Yeah.
He was very, very cunning, very smart, devious, if you will, because he got away from the bad guys, took all of their loot, and that's why they were chasing him throughout the movie, and Rapunzel. But I thought very strong character, a victim of her quote unquote mother, her fake mother, but she defended herself in the tower and against Flynn, and only through negotiation got out of the tower by telling him, "Look, you help me, and I'll let you go." And then strong throughout the rest of the film. So and willing to sacrifice herself again for someone else. She falls in love with Flynn. She cuts her hair, he cuts her hair because he's trying to save her.
Oh, right.
He wants to make it so that she is not a victim anymore of, and I can't remember the
Mother Gothel.
Gothel, yeah. He doesn't want her to be a victim anymore, so he's willing to sacrifice himself for her. So strong. I think both characters very strong. I thought that was a very good movie. I didn't think Tangled got quite the credit that it should have. And
yeah,
Rapunzel
I like Tangled.
She
although
I
didn't. It's really hard. We saw the movie, but it's very hard for me to remember the movie. I mean, I remember highlights of the movie, but it didn't really stand out that much for me.
Okay, so the next princess that comes up is in 2012, and that is she's our TV princess. She's not technically an official princess, but she's a kind of a big princess to the young girls today, and that's Sophia the First. And the reason I bring her up is because our new princess is going to be debuted on her show, and then she's going to have her own show after that.
Well, does she count as a princess then
So,
if she hasn't been coronated?
I'm just it's my show. I can say who's a princess.
I'm just saying, I don't. That doesn't ring a bell. I don't.
No, Sophia's on the Disney Channel, and so she's not technically an official princess, but we would be remiss to leave her off. But Sophia was she's very young, and she's trying to become a princess because she did not come from being a princess. She, much like the Princess Diaries, she realizes she finds out that she is indeed a princess.
Oh.
Okay, so moving back to the movies, the next movie that comes out with again a very, very strong female lead and princess, some of our heritage, if you will, from Brave.
Oh, my favorite
Merida.
Princess.
I like her.
And Merida has absolutely no man, other than maybe her father, but no man saves her.
And no man dictates her decisions.
She is. She has to get again. She's very much like Jasmine. She's required to get married. They bring all of the clans together. The three clans bring their best three guys, and they're all losers. She doesn't want any of them, and is again ready to take care of herself.
She's a Spitfire.
And I love that the movie, for the most part, all female main characters. The movie's mostly about, Merida and her mom.
Absolutely.
That's it. There's no, underlying romance. There's no, rift in a relationship between her and her father, and her brothers don't really play a big part. It's just her and her mother. And I think that young girls need that.
I think a lot of young girls can associate a little bit more with Merida.
Yeah.
Because she's a little bit rebellious. She wants to live her own life. She wants to do her own thing. But society and her family commitments are not allowing her to live the life that she wants to live. Much like Jasmine. So very strong female role. I really liked Merida. I thought she was a
Me
very
too.
good, very
I really
good
liked
character.
her. I liked her mother too.
Yeah, had a lot to say. A lot of a great speech from her, mentioning how we don't need to do this just because tradition tells us we have to do it this way. We need to find a new way of doing things.
And I think that it's like an underlying message to young girls that you don't need to live up to society's standards. When it comes to these magazines that, show photoshopped and heavily make-upped models, like if that's what you want to be, then that's fine, but you don't need to conform to society's, standards. You just need to be true to yourself.
Just be yourself.
Just be you. Just be you. And that's what Merida was all about, is just being herself.
And Merida wasn't exactly a conventionally beautiful princess. I mean, she was a beautiful person, but she wasn't, the...
Well, she had that curly hair.
Blue eyes,
red,
blonde hair,
Right, your typical...
perfect princess.
Doll prince, exactly, yeah.
Right. Well, that leaves us with a little-known film from 2013.
So obscure.
No
so
one,
obscure. I don't
no
know- I
one
don't know
will
if anyone
probably even know what
recognize
we're
it.
talking about, but we must mention the lovely Princess Anna and soon-to-be Queen, now Queen, Elsa.
Loved it.
From
Loved the
Frozen.
storyline.
Yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant movie.
Me too.
True Love's Kiss was fantastic.
Oh, I get tears in my eyes thinking of it right now. Swear.
That it was true love comes in many different forms. That's what started it all, and then of course you had the new Maleficent that kind of took that theme
That
with
movie
it.
was amazing.
Yes.
So of course you've got Elsa and Anna. You've got the Prince Hans, who ends up being the bad guy. Who saw that coming?
I didn't see that coming at all.
And the hero of the movie, as much as he could be a hero of the movie, Kristoff, the ice guy, the ice salesman.
I don't think that he was the hero of the movie.
Well, he was, because he helped Anna get to her sister. He helped her.
He was a
get
hero.
there.
Maybe not the hero.
He was at least the strong, the compassionate male lead in this movie. But again, the movie was about the two girls, and it should have been the sisters and the bond that they had together. So a huge transition from going almost 80 years ago, from Snow White to what we have, the princesses that we have today with Frozen. And I think Disney has done a very good job in every decade or every time period that they've put out a movie about princesses, that they have been true to that time at least.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And sometimes even ahead of that time.
Oh, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. So I've got a lot of good feelings for this newest princess. I hope that they come out with a brilliant movie for her. I was kind of hoping that would be a movie right out of the gate with Elena of Avalar. But she's going to be on TV, so she'll have her own TV show.
I tell you what, too, I'm looking for a new 21st century version of Cinderella in March as well.
Yes.
I am so excited for that movie. I don't think I've ever been more excited for a movie.
Yeah.
Because I am, I'm in love with Cinderella. I have been. The old one. I mean, I wouldn't change her at all. But I suspect that our new Cinderella will be a little bit different.
Stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I think so, too.
And I agree with Emily. I think that you can see princesses, the evolution of the princess from the beginning with Snow White until now. And at times, Disney was ahead of the times
Right.
in the way they had, portrayed those girls in films. And, I just think that girls today, Disney is creating phenomenal female leads. And I think that they are just, putting their name on the map as far as young girls finding girls that they can relate to. And like Emily said, it's not just the, beautiful, blonde, perfect girl. They're creating princesses that everybody can relate to.
Absolutely.
You don't have to be, a supermodel to be a princess.
Right.
And all the girls are beautiful. We're finding women from, every walk of life, and I think they're doing a great job.
I do too. I'm looking forward to the next princess that comes out.
And like Mom said, there are princesses of all ethnic diversities, and I don't think people realize how much that can impact young girls in a positive way. Because like I said, when I was younger, there were no there were a few strong female leads like Pocahontas and Jasmine, but when playing with my brother and his friend, the strongest characters that I could pretend to be were men. And for these girls who are these different ethnicities, it's it's comforting to be able to be who you are,
right?
Yeah. So I think that that's really great that Disney is doing that, has been doing that for a while. And I like that this
I
new
think they do a
princess
good job.
is-
They do a good job. And for the critics out there that always want to go back to the older films, you got to remember the time period that those films were produced in and released in, and those were brilliant films.
Absolutely.
Of the time, and still to this day, they're brilliant films. So, as I usually say at this point in time, that is all I've got. Ladies, do you have anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right, see? Who says I can't pull off a princess show? As Tim would say at this time, you can follow him.
You didn't have to dress for it, though. I mean, I think that took it a little too far, but that's okay.
Sometimes I like to feel pretty. As Tim says, you can follow him on Facebook at Tim Resort Loop Scott and Resort Loop Tim on the Twitter. You can also find him at Resort Loop on Instagram. And you can find me on Resort Loop Bob on Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget Facebook /Resort Loop. That's where we do a lot of fun stuff over there. Like us, please, over there. And listen to us on iTunes. Rate us over there if you would be so kind. And don't forget to listen on the Stitcher. As Tim says, you've been listening to The Gateway to the Magic. And I usually say, see you, everybody.
I am Merida, and I'll be shooting for my own hand.